Hello, hello. I think I am live. I was expecting a 5-minute countdown, but I don't think there is one. So I'm just going to keep talking and hope that we get questions. My name is Sarah. My website is craftwithsarah.com. And my presentation for the Card Maker Success Summit is a shaker card made with a Cricut machine. And the snowflakes got all kinds of glitter and sequins in it. And then you can untie the ribbon and then put the decoration onto your Christmas tree. And when you've taken it off, you don't need to worry that the card won't look pretty anymore without that decoration on, because you've got a little snowflake inside. So if I just sort of lift that up and pretend it's gone, you see the card will still look nice when it's displayed on the shelf, even when the decoration is gone. So that is the card for that one. And, oh, a question. Okay. I have some craft foam that is adhesive on one side that I use for the inside of barrettes when I make bows. Do you think that adhesive would be strong enough for the shaker card? Or would you recommend just getting new craft foam? Part of me thinks it would work, and the other part thinks when glitter is involved, cement and super glue aren't strong enough to keep it contained. Yes, that is true. Glitter goes everywhere. I think it would probably work. I don't think you need to buy new craft foam, but I think if you put some glue on top of the adhesive, so make it sticky with the normal adhesive, but then add some glue over it as well, and make sure your glue goes all the way around and there aren't any gaps. Then you've got double stick, so hopefully extra secure against the glitter escaping. Becky says, I got my deep cut blade finally, so I'll be making some more of these along with some of the extras from the VIP bonus. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So for the craft foam, if you've got a Cricut machine, where are my blades? You can use either the deep point blade, which is the black one, and that will work on any of the Explore or the Maker models. Or if you've got a Maker, Maker 3 or Maker 4, you can use the knife blade, which is just for those machines. This is kind of like a scalpel. I've tried both. I find the deep point blade works best, even in the Maker models, because it can get around the corners a lot easier than the knife blade. So that's the one that I use. And Brandy says, how do you find inspiration to make all your amazing Cricut projects? A little bit of everywhere, really. Sometimes it might be something you sort of see out or in a store, or just an animal that we come across or something like that. All kinds of things. I love making the gnome designs. We do a lot of layered gnome designs. If you're new to Craft with Sarah, then you will soon get to love gnomes too, I'm sure, because we do a lot of them. And also we take loads of requests from our members and things. So that's really fun. Every month we try and do 5 design requests. So this month it was gnome themed. So yeah, we had safari gnomes, dentist gnomes, weightlifting gnomes, Dutch gnomes, and I think that was it. And a dragon, which wasn't a gnome, but we wanted to do a dragon. Elvira says, love Sarah's lantern project. Oh, thank you very much. That's really nice. I really enjoy making them too. So if you're not familiar, the lanterns are sort of 3D paper crafts that you slot together, so the main structure bits can come apart again if you want to store it flat. And we've done a whole bunch of different animals and gnomes, obviously, and all sorts. But the latest one was this one. I don't have the light in it right now to show you. Where's my camera? So this is a watering can lantern with flowers coming out the top. You can put a light in to light it up. And this is a free download available at craftwithsarah.com. If you click free SVGs in the navigation, then you'll be able to download it. And we also released a load of other flower lanterns. You can kind of see one behind me, that side on the shelf with the pansy flowers on, which are in my shop. And the little dogs you can see on the shelf, that side, are lanterns as well. Reese says, love how Sarah teaches us to craft for ourselves. create for ourselves. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love doing that. I love kind of delving into design space. And I've also recently started doing Silhouette Studio and Canvas Workspace, which is for scan and cut machines, software tutorials on them as well. My background is in web development and graphic design. So I've sort of spent my whole life learning different software packages. So to be able to do that, which I really enjoy, and combine it with crafting is a lot of fun. So yeah, there's loads of tutorials over on my YouTube channel if you're interested in that. Brandy says, do you do any other crafts? Not really. In fact, I don't tend to do many crafts right now unless it's something that we're doing for work. I guess that's kind of the problem when you make your hobby your job, is that you then just kind of don't end up doing it as a hobby anymore. But I do enjoy baking. I got that from my mum. She's a very, very good baker. I'm an average baker, but I enjoy the challenge, and it normally turns out okay. So that is good. Brandy says, how did you get started in this job? So I was doing my degree at university, which was in web design. And I wanted a way to sort of practice what I was learning and do some coding in my spare time so I could get a little bit better at it. And at that time, I was a card maker. This was before crickets were a thing. So I made a blog. I started sharing photos of my cards. And then I came across a forum. It was, I don't think it's around anymore, which is a shame. It was called Circle of Crafters, and they did iris folding patterns. And iris folding is when you kind of fold strips of paper and put them around a cutout shape, following a printed pattern, and it makes a spiral. They're really, really fun to do. So I started drawing patterns for that with a pen and pencil, nothing computerized at that point, and scanning them in to share them on this forum. And then I started putting them on my blog, and it all just kind of grew from there. So from iris folding and card making, and then for Christmas in 2019, my dad bought me a Cricut machine, and then I just never looked back from there. I started designing SVG files and sharing them, and it all just grew and grew. So now, yeah, Craft with Sarah is my full-time job, which is amazing. Marie says, any tips on how to keep paper from tearing on Cricut? Yes, there are a few things. One is to make sure that your mat is still quite sticky. If it's not, you can clean it with some alcohol-free baby wipes or just some soap and washing it liquid and water. You can try adding washi tape or masking tape around the edges of your card if it's moving about on the mat to keep it in place. When you're putting your cardstock on the mat, let's see if I can see one. If you've got a brayer tool, like a roller, then go down over your cardstock with that to make sure it's really well stuck, because the better it's stuck, the less likely it will be to tear. You can also try, if your card is tearing, using a lighter cut setting. So if you were using medium cardstock, for example, then try using the light cardstock instead, and then it should stop it tearing. If it still does tear, go even lighter. But if it doesn't tear, you might find that it hasn't cut all the way through if you have gone to a much lighter setting. So try peeling a little bit off your mat before you eject the mat from your Cricut machine. And if it hasn't gone all the way through, press the go button again. It will repeat the cut in the same place, and then that time it should cut through. But if you're cutting a really little bit that keeps tearing, maybe a little intricate bit, try just moving it on the Make It screen to a different place on the mat, and also try rotating it. I know it sounds weird, but I found that sometimes if there's a particular bit that isn't cutting, just moving it somewhere else and rotating it round means the blade sort of hits it in a different way. And sometimes that can magically make it work, which is helpful. Ray says, what is something you made and have kept for many years? So the first thing I made on my Cricut was, I went big. It was a 3D gingerbread house from Cricut Access, and it said something like it should take It was either half an hour or an hour to make, and it took me all day, probably about 7 hours. But I've still got that. So that was December 2019. I don't have it here. It's at my studio. I'm at home right now. But yeah, I've still got that on display as the first thing I made with my Cricut, which I'm still very proud of. And yeah, I'm surprised I kept going because it was really hard. Carlos says, do you include PDF files for those of us who would need to cut by hand? Love the set of shaker bonuses, but would need to cut by hand. So this is something we have started doing since about February or March of this year. So now, yes, where possible, we do include hand cutting versions. If you download the free one from today's video, then you'll be able to see the hand cutting version in there to have a little look at what it's like, and then you'd be able to sort of decide if that was going to be suitable for your use to go ahead and get the VIP. We've also started doing printable versions of all our layered SVGs, so you can print them out for print and cut projects to make stickers or for sublimation, as well as hand cutting versions of all the layered designs too. Okay, Stacey says, what type of card do you feel you make most often? I personally like shakers, but harder to mail. They are harder to mail because they're thicker. And here in the UK, if your card is too thick, you have to get a large letter stamp instead of a regular stamp, which is quite a bit more expensive. Although even regular postage stamps are really expensive now. So yeah, if I'm posting something, I do tend to make a bit thinner. So if I was making a layered design, I might glue more layers and not use as many layers of foam squares to make it a little bit thinner. But if I'm making something that I know I'm giving someone, I don't worry too much. Then I like to go really extra and make it really thick and lots of layers in there. And sometimes I'll put it in a presentation box instead of an envelope if it's getting a little bit too thick for an envelope. But yeah, that only really works if you're giving it by hand. Christine says, what are your tips for keeping layers lined up? I'm not sure there is tips really, other than I think practice helps. But what I do, if I'm doing some layers in a layered design that are stuck together with foam squares, rather than just going straight in and sticking, I'll carefully line it up along one edge and then gently drop the rest of it down while being careful to sort of drop the edges in place, but don't put any pressure on it yet. And that means that the foam won't stick straight away. So if you need to, you can pick it up again and move it if you haven't got it quite in place, and it won't damage anything. And then only push down and stick the foam once you're really happy with all the positioning. And sometimes it can help just to pick it up and look at it upright before you stick it down, because sometimes I find that if I'm looking at it from above, it looks lined up, but then when I pick it up, it's not very well lined up. So it can sometimes help to look at it from a different angle before you commit. Arlene says, do you design all of the designs that you share in the Cricut events? So I am very lucky in that I have a team of wonderful designers. So there's me and 2 others. So between the 3 of us, we create all of the designs ourselves. So yeah, we do everything in-house. We test everything in-house. We do all the different file formats for different kinds of machines and everything. So yes, we do all the designs. Maybe not me personally, but within my lovely team. Loretta says, I like that your designs allow for use of other types of cardstock, particularly enjoyed adding in layers of alcohol ink papers lately. What's your favorite kind of cardstock? Oh, that sounds amazing. I'd love to see a photo of that. My favorite kind of cardstock is textured cardstock that's got the kind of linen effect on it. I find that that really adds to the overall design, especially if you do something and every single layer has that linen effect on all the different colors. I think it just makes it look a lot more interesting than plain smooth cardstock. And also it cuts really, really nicely with the Cricut, so that is a plus. Although the place where I used to get all my cardstock from has now very sadly closed down, so I'm looking for alternatives. Brandy says, how do you manage all your scraps? That is a question because we have a lot. What we used to do, which worked well for quite a long time, probably a good couple of years, was we had kind of just slightly bigger than A4 plastic folders, and we'd have a folder for each color. And then when they started getting full, we changed it to have a folder for big bits of a color and then a folder for little bits. But we grew out of that in the end. So now we've got rolling trolleys, like metal trolleys. They're about sort of this high. Where's my hand? There, off the ground. We've got 3 or maybe 4 of them. And they're sort of meant for offices. They hold the, what do you call them, like floating folders, like a paper folder with little metal hangers on rails. So we put all the card in there and then we can pull out the shelves. And then because the folders, hanging files, yes, that's what I was looking for. Because they expand, it means you can open it up and flick through everything, and that makes it a lot easier. But also, I kind of feel like what helps a lot is we're quite strict about what goes into those folders. So it has to be at least UK A6 size, so a quarter of our A4 paper to go in there. It has to have straight edges so it's easy to use, because we were finding that we were keeping everything and then it made it hard to cut on the Cricut to line things up to make sure it was going to fit, and we just weren't using it. So we went through the folders, which took a really long time, and ended up with this great big box that went to the local beavers to use for their craft projects, and we just kept the bigger bits. Kelly says, what is your favorite tool in your craft room? It would have to be the Cricut machine, just in general. I love it. The Maker is my personal favorite out of all the different types of Cricut machine. But in terms of something a little bit smaller, do I have it? Yes. I love this. It's a double-sided tape runner. It's called the Easy Runner Grand. I've got tape over the name, but it's really good because it hardly ever jams. It's only ever jammed like maybe 2 or 3 times in the years and years and years I've had it, and it's really good at putting a double-sided tape on things. And I like that it's refillable, so you don't need to buy the whole thing again every time it runs out. You can just buy the top bit, and that works really well. And the tape in it, it's sort of scored, or not scored, it's got little cut lines down it all the way along, which means if you're trying to put it round a curve, it curves really nicely because it gives that little bit of gap between it. So yeah, I love that. I use it a lot. Susan says, how do you keep your mats clean? Not very efficiently. We do tend to go through quite a few mats. We always put the covers back on straight after they're straight after we finished using them, which helps. But I find that quite often it's sort of easier to start a new one when the stick starts going. I think that's kind of because we mostly do cardstock, which means that we use a scrape tool. Do I have one? No. So a lot of times we're scraping the little bits of cardstock off, especially if we've done something intricate and it's got lots of bits left on the mat that we don't need. And I think when you're scraping it so much, you're kind of scraping the adhesive off. You can see it on the scraper at the end. It gets all that gunky stuff on the edge, which means that no amount of cleaning is going to make it sticky again if we've actually taken the adhesive off. So sometimes you've got to kind of just go in for the new mat, and then we all complain because now it's too sticky. Linene says, if you did not have a Cricut, which craft tool do you think you would reach for first? So before I got my Cricut, when I did a lot of hand cutting, kind of hand cutting for iris folding cards, or decoupage toppers, things like that, fussy cutting and things. And I had a rotating blade craft knife. I've still got it somewhere. It's amazing. So it's like a normal craft knife, but the blade is on a like a wheel or a ball or something, so it goes all the way around, which means when you're trying to cut curves, it's so easy, so much easier than a regular blade that doesn't move at all. And because I'm left-handed as well, I found that that was really, it was a lot easier to use than a regular craft knife as well. I think because I could sort of angle it and it would move as I angled it. So yeah, I used that a lot before the Cricut. Okay, it's time to wrap up. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me for this live video. If you make my shaker card, I would love to see a picture, so please do put it in the Facebook group for the summit, and you can tag me in it. My name on Facebook is Sarah Edwards, or Craft with Sarah, but I'm not sure which one will work best. You try both, and then I'll see it. If you make any of the cards from the All Access Path too, for example, we got a Christmas tree and lots of other ones too, please share them. I love seeing your photos. It always makes me happy seeing what you've made. But if you've got any other questions, please do post in the group. Just please try and tag me so that I see it. And yeah, thank you for watching along. I hope you have an amazing time at the rest of the Cardmaker Success Summit and have a lovely weekend. All right, thank you so much. Bye.